We have had a stern warning from China saying that those who play with fire will perish by it. This from the Office of Hong Kong and Macau. Let's take you to Stephen McDonald, who is monitoring all the protests for us and was in amongst it, of course, yesterday. Steve, good to see you. What can we read into these words, this pretty stern warning that we've had from China in the past few hours?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a threat from the Chinese government, really, to the most radical protesters that Beijing will not tolerate this instability, that at some point the threat would be, the message is it will get involved, and that means the People's Liberation Army. Now today, he was asked about that, and the spokesman for that ministry from the central government responsible for Hong Kong said that for now they believe the Hong Kong police can handle this. So I don't know that it's imminent. However, he was sort of asked, well, would you rule it out? And then made it clear that people should be under no illusion that that is not an option, because he said that these protesters shouldn't underestimate Beijing's resolve, nor the huge power that it can bring to making sure that this place is returned to order. Now, the interesting thing, though, he's saying on the one hand that that the government here that can handle it, that the police here can handle it. However, we had a press conference from the police a short while ago, and one thing really stood out for me. I mean, they mentioned the arrests, lots of arrests yesterday, 148 people arrested. But another figure was, until yesterday, from like the 6th of June until yesterday, the police had fired 1,000 rounds of tear gas. Now, yesterday, only yesterday, they fired 800 more. So you can imagine that the extent of the street battle, if you could put it that way, yesterday, and just how intense it was. I mean, where we were, around those quarters where the police live, the protesters throwing dozens of bricks over the fence, smashing up the homes of police officers, when you think about it. And the police coming out with rubber bullets, heavy baton charges. And this was only one part of the city. This was going on in about 10 or 12 different locations around Hong Kong, and right into the night, with brawls, and again involving people we think potentially are involved with triads.
And Steve, how much do you feel, when you were in amongst it, that the protests really have been hijacked by these more sort of hardline protesters?
I think what's happened, two things have happened. A lot of these protesters have become really radicalised. As the weeks have gone on, they're ramping up what they're prepared to do, and the police are ramping up how they're prepared to respond. The protesters now are coming, they've got body armour type stuff, they've got face masks for the gas, they've got helmets, they're homemade shields. Now, these started off as a mass peaceful movement with hundreds of thousands in the streets. And it is still a large proportion of people. I mean, it's not the hundreds of thousands, but there are thousands, and even possibly tens of thousands of those protesters who are prepared to go to quite extreme lengths. They think the peaceful way hasn't worked, the government ignored that, so in order to get the democracy they think they deserve, they think that increasing pressure will somehow deliver it. Now, it's not clear what that path is to many observers, and yet that is what they have decided to do.
Steve, thanks for joining us from the streets of Hong Kong. Steve McDonald there.